Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. Good morning. It is Saturday, January 9th. We are just days after the Georgia elections. We are just days after the riot at the United States Capitol. But let's see where my trusty co-host is this morning. I can tell you that this morning I think it was easier for me to come and do a live broadcast after November 3rd than it was for me to come do a live broadcast this morning. I felt heavy on Tuesday, and honestly, I'm heavy today, just to be honest with you. So hopefully I look the part because I dang sure don't feel it. But let me see where my trusty co-host is this morning.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. All right. Um, and yeah, this has been an interesting week, hasn't it?
Interesting is a nice word.
Yeah.
Yeah, David, it has been very. Um, I was heavy on Tuesday, David. Just to be honest, I think I was trying not to bring that heaviness. I've been heavy on. I was heavy on Tuesday because it was. I said just few moments ago, it was easier for me to come and do a broadcast after November 3rd than it is for me to do a broadcast now. It's one thing for me as a candidate, me personally, not to win, and because my races, David, for those that know me, have never been about me. I'm always specific to the issues. I'm always about the people. So, you know, it was easier for me to come and do my broadcast after November 3rd because I didn't win. Because it was never about me. It was always about the issues. How do we push the agenda? How do we push the issues forward? But to come and do a broadcast after Tuesday's election, it has been,
I mean, what is it about the Tuesday election that has you so down?
um I won't say down, that's your word, not mine. Just
Okay, well, you're
heavy,
saying
heavy,
heavy.
heavy is my word. Heavy, I'm just feeling a little heavy, not down. There's a difference. I ain't never been down, David.
Well, okay, whatever it is, I'd like to hear what your thinking is behind those words, what your feelings represent. I mean, would you? I don't want to put words in.
Don't put words in my mouth. Let me just try to articulate it. Let me just try to get some of it
Sure.
out.
Okay.
So I wasn't happy with the fact that Warnock ran a whole damn campaign with puppies and wrapping himself up in Christmas lights and really kind of, you know, not being coming forward as a black man with a black agenda and speaking directly to us and speaking directly to our issues. So to have elected him knowing he had no black agenda, knowing he had no plan for reparations, that hurt me more than losing my own race. That hurt more to me. And I couldn't, I've been trying to that hurt me, that hurt more to me because I didn't just lose. Black people lost. Because we can't hold this man accountable for something he never said he would do. So I think that is why I'm so heavy. And I've been trying to and I stayed off social media the whole week, David, because I got on a little bit here and there to respond to people who had responded to me. I didn't want to be totally absent, but I stayed off of social media because I didn't want to get in the way of the celebration. And I don't know what they're celebrating, but I didn't want to get in the way of it. So I stayed back and let people have their moment, however long that lasted, because Trump made sure he got out there. So that celebrating didn't last long. And we can talk about that too, David. But,
I think the two are not unrelated. I think the fact that Ossoff and Warnock won on Tuesday had a lot to do with the white supremacist riot that went through the Capitol. Um, I think that your interpretation from your perspective, um, we is legitimate, valid. I mean, I can't legitimate you or validate you, but I certainly understand what you're saying. But I think that the white supremacists on the other side also interpreted it in exactly the mirror image of what you are saying. They stormed that Capitol not simply because Trump brought them there. That defeat that the white supremacists suffered in Georgia, and that's how I feel about it. Um, was what brought them out and what um, incited them. You know, uh, so I mean I don't know. I
You're
mean,
talking about, you're talking about the white supremacists that got mad. I'm talking about the hurt and the disappointment. They're mad because that's just, to me, these are two different things, David. And they're mad. They're power. I get that. They got that's another level of anger. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed.
yeah, and you have
Encouraged by the fact that we have these two seats, and I can't hold the person that should be most accountable to us as a people, because we delivered him. When the results came out, Wanock was winning. He was winning first. Like, he was out there. He was first. They announced him first that he had won. And we know Black people carried this election. We carried the presidency. We carried this election. And reparations is due, and reparations is now. And we can't even hold the presidency because Kamala already said, they asked her specifically, was she going to do something for Black people when she was running? She laughed. I ain't going to do that just for Black people, and laughed. So I don't expect much out of Kamala. She told us, we can't hold her accountable. Joe Biden never made a promise for reparations. Warnock never made a promise for reparations, but we delivered. So I'm hurt.
Well, it seems to me you turn that hurt into action, and that's
trust me, I ain't going no damn where, Dave.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he might have just made it worse. Don't know what to say to me. I know, David. It's all good. Let's see what our audience is saying. They're saying good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hey, good morning. Let's say good morning. You bring issues important to ADOS survival. Warnock promoted DNC talking points. Absolutely. Wrapped him up in Christmas lights on a funny commercial, running around playing with the puppies. Yeah. He couldn't talk about us, but you could bring this puppy on. I'm hurt. David, is white supremacists on both sides, and I've seen it myself inside the Democratic Party, and he is absolutely right.
Yeah, well,
I understand your stand. However, most people look at him as a rock star for our community. I'm out here and I see it. I think it's the first Black ever Georgia U.S. Senate. Yeah, this is him being the first Black. We so caught up in identity politics, the first this, the first that, and having a Black face and high places don't equate to our liberation. It doesn't. It breaks my heart tremendously, David. I am hurt. I am hurt. And I probably won't get past this hurt until he has a true plan for reparations. And he is outright and he is bold in his Blackness. I probably won't get past this until he becomes standing in that pulpit of Dr. King, until he becomes that. I don't know if I'm gonna get past it.
Well, I think that what's been happening over the last decade has been both in Georgia politics and in national politics within the Democratic Party, is there's been a major shift, and it has not been necessarily to well,
Let me address this. Let me address you, Miss Betty, respectfully. Tamara, it's going to be okay. You got to get it together. How are you going to help us if you can't keep it together? Baby, I won't ever fall apart. Let me help you. We happy that Kelly didn't win. How can you be happy? Neither one of them had a plan for black people, Miss Betty. We delivered because they were all we had. The lesser of two evils. You want me to shoot you? You want me to get stabbed in the back? Because you got to pick your poison, and that's kind of what we did. We picked the poison. Now we got to go to work now. Yeah, I'm expecting you, Miss Betty Parrish, to go to work. I'm expecting you to hold that man accountable to us, Miss Betty.
I think you're making the point that you know, I think that Miss Betty is making the point that you cannot hold Kelly Loeffler accountable. You can hold,
I want to see.
Raphael Warnock accountable. You cannot hold Kelly Loeffler accountable. All right, you cannot hold David Perdue accountable. You can hold Warnock and Ossoff accountable. So,
but no promises, right? So two people, you got two candidates. Neither one of you promised you anything, and you can hold one accountable more than the other. David, please.
Well, I mean, the constituency that Loeffler, that Perdue and Loeffler rested their power on is a constituency that would vote them out of office.
We have people. Let me tell you what happened with the black community and what we normally do. I'm black. I've been black all my life, David. I know how we are. We went to the polls and we voted. And you know what we do? We go sit back and let them do the work. I'm gonna see Miss Betty. I want to make sure. Hopefully you continue to follow me, and I will continue to follow you, Miss Betty, because I want to make sure you are calling out Raphael Warnock every chance you get, and talking about something specific to black people. When by 2053, the data says we will have zero net wealth. Zero. We're on a race to the bottom. And you want to dangle this $2,000 check, Joe Biden, in front of us, as if $2,000 gonna close the racial wealth gap in this country. A rising tide does not lift all boats when you are still on the bottom, and we are still on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm
keep talking. I want to keep talking. I'm behind you to hold them accountable. No, you do it. I want to make sure you do it. You voted for him, you do it. I'm the politician. That's your future. Exactly. See, here's the problem with this generation, the older generation. Your generation, David, this older generation, y'all got yours. Y'all don't leave us this mess to clean up. You get your Social Security, you got all the benefits.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me finish, David. Let me finish, David. You're gonna not have it this morning. I'm gonna have it this morning. Because David, your generation benefited, and there's nothing left for generations coming behind us. We riddled with student loan debt. We can't buy a house. These young people today cannot leave home. They can't leave home, David. They can't. The jobs aren't there. Everything is global and automated. And these young people stuck out here like, what the hell do we do? So
and
David, you will not have it this morning. You're gonna let me get this all out this morning.
Okay, all right. I'm
talking to black people we are hurting, David. What you see coming out of me is the hurt and the pain of black America, who know that $2,000 dangled in front of us is not going to be enough to save us or help us. You fine. The rest of us not. This generation coming behind me, I'm watching these young people. They don't have nothing.
All I want to say about that is that what's going on there is that they are dependent on their parents, and many of their parents are can't help them, you know.
Exactly.
So it's I mean, I'm not, I'm not fighting with you on this, and I think that there really is. Um, uh, you're absolutely right that there's changes going on. The concentration of wealth in this country has become unsustainable, and so where uh, what is my stand on reparations? I'm trying to figure out a way to talk to white working people about why they should support reparations. I am in favor of, not only in favor of it, I think it's the only way that we can uh, uh, claw back, start to claw back some of this concentration of wealth. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is in the interests of European American working people to have as much reparations, institutionalized as we possibly can. That's uh, uh, and the more that happens, the more structurally where the institutions are put in place that repair.
This woman still want to talk. I'm gonna let her have it. You got it. You got the voice. I don't need the $2,000 check. Exactly. You don't. You don't need it. So how about you give it to somebody who does? You don't need. She just said it. I don't need the $2,000 check. But you know what? It's people out here who need 10,000, 20,000. They so far they can't even pay their rent for months. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you to be mad enough. I'm not the politician you are. You got to help the young folks. Leave it on our backs to help the young people. Leave it on my generation's back to help the young people, Miss Betty. Yeah.
Well, we're
y'all still here, but you leave it on my generation's back to help the young people. Y'all got y'all's. You good, David? Y'all generation, Miss Betty, y'all good. You got yours. My generation, we got to help the young people. Y'all help them because we got ours. She don't need her $2,000 check.
Yeah, but a lot of those people in my generation are supporting and sustaining their kids.
I'm a boomer. Aside from inheritance from me, my offspring, they have nothing. You're correct. They have nothing. Whatever you leave, Mr. Don, that's what they got. Because they have nothing. My generation coming behind me, nothing. And y'all are still here not fighting for us, not standing with us when we say we need reparations, we need repair, we need redress. Because by 2053, COVID done sped that up, I'm sure. By 2053, we won't have nothing. But you're still here, voting in the wrong direction and not standing with us. What you call them, scabs, David? When y'all have the unions and y'all go on strike and you need people to stand with you, but some of y'all go back to work and continue to work while the rest of us trying to hold the line and trying to get something. But the rest of y'all go back to work. Is that what you call it, a scab? Is that what the union language is?
Yep.
That's what I feel right now.
I'm making the point.
Your generation, like y'all are going and doing what y'all need to do, and to hell with us.
I really object to this kind of generational. I mean, there are an enormous number of people who are in retirement who are supporting their own kids, whose kids are back in their own houses, who may have even actually co-signed their college debt. So there's tens of millions of people. Don't push these people away, Tamara. That's just silly.
Push them away. How am I pushing them away, David?
You're saying that we got ours and we're scabs, and I just feel like that's look.
But it's the truth. Am I not speaking the truth, David? It's the truth. You have a generation.
No, you're not speaking the truth.
We have a generation of people, David. We have a generation of people, David, that are saying, this is what we need. This is where we are, my generation. And then the next generation, this is what we need. And you guys are going and not even hearing us, not standing with us, not standing behind us, not supporting us.
I just disagree with you. What am I doing here?
And you my only hope. You are my hope.
I told you, you know, when we were talking this week that I've been doing a class at the Senior University of Greater Atlanta. I have 100 people in that class, all of my generation. Okay. And they are listening. They are, they may be a bit confused about, you know, what's actually, you know, what the Democratic Party means. Because these are, I mean, out of those 100 people, I'm sure that 99 of them are Democrats and voted for Biden and Warnock and Ossoff. But they are aware of how much of a crisis there is. You know, the Black Lives Matter protests this summer had, you know, 3/4 of the people who were involved in it were European American, were white, and well-to-do. You know, a good portion of them were earning, you know, $80,000 or more a year. They are aware that something's wrong, and many of those people have a lot of their income is going to help their kids. You know. So and there are many of them.
Obviously, there is something wrong. I mean, that makes my point that there's something wrong, and it's affecting the next generation. And if we don't get it right before we leave here, we're gonna leave them with these problems.
Well, and that's what I've been saying. Not this is the utter doublethink of these Republicans who talk about debt without talking about the ecological debt, without talking about the reparations debt. They think that debt is all about, you know, the taxes, paying for the federal dollar debt, and the crisis is much larger than that.
She said, "You are a great white hope, David. You are all I got.
You
are all I have, David."
Yeah, no. I mean,
you're all we have.
The great white hope is actually the reverse of what I am. I'm the great white nightmare. As far as white people are concerned, you know, the great white hope is the guy who's going to defeat the black,
yes,
Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson, yes.
Jack Johnson. So I know what she means, and I really appreciate it, but it's a wrong historical reference. And
I know what you meant, girl. He is our hope, girl. He is our rock. I don't know.
Well, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And
no, you're not. When I tell you, I have some amazing white supporters. I love you guys. I appreciate you because I know how hard this work is for you. I know. We know how hard it is. We've been saying this for 400 years. You know, you've been saying it for 70-some years. We know how hard this work is.
The thing is that white supremacy kills black bodies and it kills white souls. You know, it's a soul killing, you know, system that we're in. And even the little protections that you get from being from not being African American, from not being a person of color, are destructive, you know, and on a broader scale, that's where I think the possibilities lie. So, you know, we are going to have to win over European Americans to the position that, you know,
you're going to have to do it. Don't say black people can't do it. I got enough problems over here trying to get them to understand.
All right, I got that. I meant we in the sense of we European Americans.
Y'all.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling these folks. You know, I've got 7 more weeks to talk to them, and the obligation and responsibility that they have is to convince European Americans that they are better off in a state of equality with African Americans, which means reparations, affirmative action. It does not mean forgetting about the inequalities, but that the state of inequality is better for them than to be in the privileged position of being less exploited and oppressed than African Americans, because that's really where it stands. White people who think and act white are saying, well, at least I'm not black. That's the only thing that they've got going. The rest of it is screwed. They're opium addicted. They ain't got jobs, or they're in a situation where the better off of them are in the situation where their kids are dragging them down.
But and they haven't got. Here's where I see a little hope, David, that their kids are friends with my kids.
Yeah.
And this is the world of technology, where everything now is on the cell phones, it's on we see it on social media. Nothing is in the dark. You see white supremacy. You not just hear about it, you see it. It is a slap in your face. It was slapping people now in the face. And they are friends with my kids and other brown children.
Yeah.
Brown children. So this next generation coming behind me, this next generation, they're gonna get it right. They're gonna get it right because they have lived experience.
Yeah, I've just been reading. There's a whole bunch of programmatic proposals that The Nation magazine has collected for the advocacy for the left for the first 100 days of the Biden administration. And, among the things are the Breathe Act by the Black Lives Matter has been putting forward. And that is a comprehensive program to shift the policy and the money and the federal funds away from policing, away from mass incarceration, and into social, community led and community controlled justice procedures, in cities in particular. So the
Breathe Act has it's about the chokehold and the way policing is, the tactics that they use. So
4 pillars: divesting from carceral institutions which have failed to solve the issue of harm reduction and security in communities, investing in community-based and community-led programs of accountability and harm and violence prevention, offering resources to build healthy, sustainable, and equitable communities throughout the country, including jobs and much-needed human services, and finally, making sure public officials are accountable to the communities they are sworn to preserve, especially the Black communities that most often are neglected and ignored. These priorities embody the principle of self-determination and are the antithesis of Biden's 1994 lock 'em up and crime bill and Clinton's abandon the poor welfare reform policy. So the question is, what's going on in the Democratic Party? Or not the question, but this is an expression of the old Democratic Party versus the new. Where does Warnock stand in that? Where does Ossoff stand in that? Kind of in between, it seems to me, because they do have this powerful new set of constituencies. And, they could go either way. And it's up to, on both sides, it's up to you on your side and me on my side to push these people, to build a movement that's going to, and the movements are out there. I mean, there's millions of people involved in Movement for Black Lives. There's a group that's called the debt forgiveness group. Is called Debt Collective. And she's got an article. Astra Taylor is co-founder of it. She's got an article in here about the $1.5 trillion college student loan debt. You know how much student loan debt there was 20 years ago? It was
Not
like,
as it is now.
100 billion or something like that. You know, so here are these people that you're talking about, and who are now, for the last 15 years or so, have been saddled with this they're indentured servants.
Mm-hmm.
There actually is indenture now. There are companies, corporations that are actually paying college tuition for the promise of 10 or 15 years of work from these people. That's indentured servitude, right? And on top of that, those are the better off folks. The rest of the young generation that you're talking about have been incarcerated, or on some kind of form of public assistance. So, and those people who are in debt really have to act in solidarity. They too need to act in solidarity with the folks who never were able to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
There really has to be a sense of solidarity across the board. And yeah, we can yell.
Very high expectations of this administration. Very, very high. They absolutely, David, have no damn excuse. Not one damn excuse. Not one damn excuse. Not.
Well, they certainly have a lot less excuse now with a majority in the Senate. And that's a point that I would make, just as a case in point. I really want to see how we can. I'm thinking things through for myself. I've got a comrade friend of mine who I'm actually going to go out walking with him this afternoon, and the thinking of links, of ways to connect, of communities, of having access to European American working people. That's what I was yelling at those two guys, who ran for the Senate before. They don't even know where white working people are, poor whites are in Georgia and in the Atlanta area. They don't know. The people who I'm talking to, the 100 folks that are on this taking this course with me, they don't know where the poor white folks are. So I mean, and actually, black people know where the poor whites are more than the whites who vote for Biden and all of that other stuff. We need your connections.
White people. So what you're saying is white people need black people to connect them to other white people?
Yeah.
David,
I mean, it's insane.
Just knock me out my chair, David. Just knock me out my chair. David.
No, it's
what the heck is that? What is that?
It's lunacy. Because black people are working now in jobs, or they're going to school, as you said about young black people, of your son's generation, the European American youth, of that generation are more integrated with, they have much closer personal, social, relationships across racial lines. You're absolutely right about that. That doesn't mean that translates into a political solidarity. We've got to build that kind of consciousness, among people, that if you are a European American person and you have a people of color as your friends, right? It puts a special responsibility on you. It's a political responsibility. What are you going to do if you're out on the street and the cops stop you and they single out the black person? What are you going to do? And people need that kind of personal preparedness to act in solidarity. That's my stories stuff. I've got 100 of these stories. And you know, I think that we will be able to do that if we have some wherewithal to begin discussions and conversations and you know, and get European Americans ready for, you know,
Putting up on the screen, it's very long. Angela, you got to write in bite-sized pieces, but I'm gonna put it on the screen. She said poverty makes, and I'm not gonna be able to read it because I'm not gonna. Poverty makes ADOX, which is the American descendants of chattel slavery, a target. Dollars bring dignity. Class-based policies don't fix race. Only 18% of ADOX are college degrees. Erasing student loan debt is another white wealth transfer, David. ADOX needs transformational politics, not status quo. We are owed over 104 trillion, on the low end, 735 billion recurring. The only way to close the over 100 trillion egregious racial wealth gap is reparations. Programs like affirmative actions that can be taken away and given to white. And Angela, I told you it won't let me put everything on the screen. You got to write in smaller pieces so I can put it up.
I don't think I don't disagree with what she's saying.
Integration and assimilation still empowers the groups that's being integrated and assimilated into. David, reparations. Give us our cut the check. Give us some land. Give us our land back. You ain't giving us nothing we didn't already have. Give us our land. Let us be self-determining. Let us create our own communities.
Well,
If I have a whole lot of hope in what white America can do, I don't. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of hope. Cut the check. Give us our reparations. Give us our land. Let us be self-determined, David. We can do it. We've done it before. We came out of. We can do it.
That's what I'm trying to translate into, you know, the experience of the people, or the lack of experience that the people who I'm associated with. Look, last time I was on 2 weeks ago, you were asking me about, you know, about what you know, what was happening in, you know, my life. And I mentioned something about how I went out race walking on Monday and it was freezing cold. And Robbie chimed in and she said, yeah, I was out on that day too. And there were homeless people who were out on the street. I felt really ashamed by that, you know, that my perspective was, oh, I was very cold. And Robbie's perspective was, there's people who are living out on the street in that freezing weather. That's
and they live across the street from Raphael Warnock's church. I saw a video and I actually posted it on Twitter. Directly across the street from his church is a homeless camp, people in tents. But y'all got a whole sanctuary over there.
Yeah.
Right now during this COVID season, I'm sure you're not having, you know, regular services. Why not turn that whole sanctuary, that whole ground, into some homeless, some shelter, some shelter for these people?
Yeah.
But they live across the street. It's from a church that's locked.
Right.
We sent him to Washington with no plan for reparations and no black agenda. We sent that man to Washington. Y'all sent that man to Washington. I didn't. Y'all sent that man to Washington.
Yeah. Well, I brought that up in the class. You know, I mean, I'm not shying away from it, and we will, you know, look, we just got to continue. I mean, there is a gap, there's a divide there, and bridging the divide, first acknowledging it, you know, as my site said, and then bridging it is the way that we need to. So I'm owning up that I was looking at that from a real white blind, you know.
Wait. I want you to say that real slow and really clear for the people in the back. Say that, David. Say it again.
I am owning up that my view of that cold weather was white blind.
No, I was talking about the race, because you don't feel like your view of this race for on the
I still
You don't
disagree.
feel like that. So, oh, I thought you was trying to go there. That's what. So let's have that.
Well,
You don't feel like your position was white blind. Like you don't feel like your position on Warnock and Ossoff, that was a white blind spot. And I just explained to you about the scabs, which you understand that really well. When we're standing here trying to get something, and you cross.
My feeling is that withhold the vote is not a is is a
Is what, David?
it's an ineffective tactic, and that's
Oh, well,
what it
let's
is.
go there, David. Since you brought this, you say withhold the vote is ineffective. Ineffective for who? You? Because it doesn't. It's not. Now you said you all about solidarity. You just gave this whole long dissertation just a second ago about solidarity and what you need white people to do. But you're not gonna stand with us when I'm telling you withhold the vote is saying if you don't have an agenda specific to Black people, we're not going to vote for you. So you won't stand in solidarity. Now that is a little hypocritical right there, Dave. You won't stand in solidarity with us.
Okay, I mean, I'm conflicted about this. I don't think it's a good tactic.
You don't think it's a good tactic? Why? When I told you the reason for it, when it's real clear, withhold the vote is specific to candidates and elected officials who do not have an agenda specific to Black people. You do not have a plan for reparations. Why should we vote?
Well, that's the entire Democratic Party, and I mean, including the radical left of the Democratic Party.
Let me bring Robbie in. She is so right on time. Let me see. Let's see. She's in the background. Robbie, can you hear us? You have no sound?
I'm trying.
We can hear you.
I'm trying.
We can hear you.
Leave the house. If you can hear me, I had to leave the house.
Can you hear us? You can't hear us? We can hear you. You can't hear us. We can hear you. Come back, Robbie. Keep trying. We need your voice. David, what is your position on block voting? That's what I wants to know.
I'm not sure what block voting is.
Okay, he'll put it in the chat. Dr. King, were he alive, would have turned the church in his building into a sanctuary. It would have been a place for these homeless people that are sleeping on the street. You got a nice, huge building, nice, beautiful church grounds, and you got people over there living in tents across the street from the church.
Yeah, well, I'm going to use that.
Ain't going nowhere. I'm going to tell you that. If anything, about to get stronger. We're going to get better. We're going to be more and more effective, because no longer will we go to the polls and people guilt us and shame us into voting for what? When a candidate does not have an agenda specific to us as a people, why should we vote for them?
Yeah, I'm looking at it from the perspective of what it means to be able to hold people accountable when they had a Senate minority versus having a Senate majority, and so my feeling is that there's greater pressure on the moderate Democrats.
How can withhold the vote automatically be deemed ineffective when Black folks as a voting bloc have never came together and attempted to do it? We will never know about its effectiveness until we try it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Shana. I agree. Let's
see if Robbie can hear us. Robbie, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Robbie? She still can't hear. Lord, she having some major technical. Can you hear us, Robbie? Now she frozen. Girl, now you frozen.
Okay, well, I think that there are a lot of promising signs that are out there. The Breathe Act, the college debt. As long as people are, and I want to find out more about the debt collective because it's much larger than the college debt. Um, there are, and I agree with the person who said that the debt forgiveness is a wealth transfer. That's why I raised the whole issue of the people who do not have access to college. There has to be a whole program that's put into effect that gives people access to skills without having to go to the college route. And that's what almost every other country does. Germany, they have a whole technical track at the end of high school. And by the way, their high schools in Germany are the equivalent of 2 years of junior college. Then they go either into the academic or the technical track. And that's why Germany has this incredible manufacturing sector, which is highly automated. But with tens of millions of German workers who have those skills and have permanent jobs.
Well, I absolutely believe in vocational education. I mean, I was a career. I did I did manicures and pedicures for a living. I owned a salon for 10 years. I did services for 18 years. So
okay, that's what I'm talking about.
I absolutely believe in that.
Yeah. So they're
that Joe Biden.
That was something that Obama began, but he felt, he just let it go. The idea of supporting 2-year colleges, but we really, in order to do that, there has to be a structural change in the way that that the financial structure works in this country, which promotes and incentivizes, and the tax structure, which promotes and incentivizes taking manufacturing jobs out of the country. I mean, there's structural stuff that's there. In fact, it's the kind of things that in some ways Biden can do without having to face the roadblocks of the Senate. Because there are things that he could do as executive orders, and there's a lot of stuff that is in the same framework. But this whole idea of debt forgiveness linked with the access to technical skills, including healthcare, building up the healthcare sector, so that we actually have a robust public health system.
This gentleman wants to explain to you what block voting is. So his first comment is, David, Black people joined together, took their votes, and aimed them toward the candidate who had their interest in mind.
Well,
that was block voting. So here is. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, and in fact, that is exactly why Georgia, the white supremacist late Jim Crow, 1950s, 1960s, and then Republicans passed the law in Georgia that you had to have 50% of the vote in order to win a Senate race, because they did not want Black people to use their block voting power to make bargains with either the Republicans or the Democrats.
Stay there, right there. To make bargains with either the Republicans or the Democrats.
Exactly. Yes.
We've never done that. What we do.
Well, it obviously.
Let me finish. What we do, David, is we go and we vote Democrat. That's all.
Well,
that's all we do as a people. We go and we look for the D, and we don't know who the hell these people are. We just see the D, and where Raphael had the Reverend in front of his name and the D behind his name. Oh, it was just there. It is. This is why withhold the vote is important for Black people, because we now have to understand how to vote strategically. Now that you understand the power of it, because I say two things. We got the money in our pocket, that's power, and the vote, that's power. I'm real clear about that. I understand the power of the vote. I'm not taking anything from it. What I'm saying now, as an educated voting bloc, We need to start being strategic and tactical. Everybody don't get that vote. It's a weapon. I can use it to help you, or I can use it to hurt you. We don't know how to do that yet. And
but there's,
let me finish.
yeah.
That is what withhold the vote is about. It's about using that vote, Black people, to get people in and get people out and move folks out of the way. And that is standing your ground.
All right. This is the agenda of the I can't remember the name of the party in New York State now, but New York State has a third party, but it is partly because of the unique nature of third party status in New York State, where they can endorse or not endorse candidates from the Democratic Party. And that gave the Working Families Party gave
Robbie, wait 1 second. Robbie, can you hear us?
I can
Yes.
hear
Can
y'all.
you hear us? Can you hear us? She's been trying for a whole hour. She can't get in. She can't get in.
So the Working Families Party has been able to do this kind of thing within New York State, and now is expanding outside of New York State. But the quirks of the law are such that in New York State about candidates and the electoral process that enabled them to have this kind of leverage. In Georgia, the irony is that Perdue would have won. He missed by 3/10 of a point, getting to 50% of the vote. He would have won if it hadn't been for the Libertarian Party. So the irony is that this has flipped on its head. You know,
Well, he says voting is the weapon until Black people get together collectively to make a down payment campaign contributions on these candidates for access. Oh, hell, that is such a losing strategy. Oh, damn, Ivan, damn. You want to buy your candidates, you ain't got enough money, bruh. We fought what they say, 407, the most expensive U.S. Senate race in the history of the country, $470 million was spent. Bruh, you ain't got enough.
well, you do have
We'll be able to buy, Ivan. Stop acting like we're going to be able to buy our candidates. We won't. We won't. The only thing we could do is use our vote as a weapon.
Yeah, but Tamara, you know, the issue is where do you start? I mean, if you start at local school boards, if you start with with those kind of low level races.
Oh, bro, David, by 2053, Black America will have zero net wealth. We got to start everywhere. We're not starting, no, we're going to go back. No, David, we need to do this everywhere, all the time, moving forward with every election across the country.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody has been doing. AOC, was able to win that election, when was she? She wasn't 2018. She was 2016, because she found that the Democrat in her district was out of touch. He had been in power for 30 plus years, and he was vulnerable. And those are the kinds of analysis and questions. And she's, the squad is now. I mean, their 2020 election victories were overwhelming. So and I don't think that they're all that great, to begin with, and a lot of them have predominantly white constituencies. But they were able to figure these things out, seize the moment, get the intelligence, the information that they needed. There are groups that are supporting them, across the country, and that's where.
We can
Yeah.
hear you, Robbie. We can see you. If you can say something, just talk, because I know you've been trying to get on for the whole hour. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I had to leave my house. David, I'm sorry. I know you were in the middle of talking. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
just talk, Robbie. Just go, because we only have about 4 minutes left. Keep going.
David, I
I
know
know
you
you
were in the
heard
middle of
some. I know
talking.
you've been listening the whole time.
She's
I've been
talking.
in and out. And David, I know what you're saying about AOC and the squad, and I concur. But I really think there's something, and today makes me wonder even more. I think there's something bigger going on here with our election system. Um, you know,
You think?
John Ossoff, respectfully, he is an elite. Um, what Raphael Warnock, a 275K pastor for making that money for over 10 years, over a decade in Atlanta. Any national pastor makes a third of that. That being said, it is Ebenezer Baptist Church that doesn't even include speaking engagements of $10,000 sometimes. So in essence, I'm sorry, but the Democrats cherry-picked two elite people. And you have to wonder why. You have to wonder why they want to control those seats. And to me, I think we got a really big problem. I've been researching this all week, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. Do you know a woman named Catherine Austin Fitz? She was the former assistant secretary for HUD, and this Solari report company that she runs. David, do you know?
Dan.
We can hear you, Robbie. Just keep talking, because we only have about 3 minutes left. Keep talking.
Okay, I'm gonna go real quick. What I'll do is I created an event earlier today. Obviously for Tamara for Georgia. I'm gonna put a ton of info in that event, and it basically talks about our money system, our debt ratios, what the dollar is worth, how our money is made. And David, you talk a lot about history, and I always am fascinated. I love listening to you and Robert Thompson. I'm sorry, I'm on the road now. But here's the thing: we do have a financial crisis. It is trying to be averted, and personally, when I saw on Capitol Hill, I think that is a pure distraction. I really do. Those people came in without any face covering, really basically not even armed the way terrorists would be armed, taking selfies. I think we are being distracted. I think we are being distracted because we have a financial problem that both parties have allowed for decades. I think Wall Street is a part of it. I think our money literally is in question right now, and because our money is in question, the dollar, we have a global impact. And right now, I think they're trying to clean it up. And the best way to clean it up, meaning the Fed, is to control both sides. Otherwise, you riddle me this, David. How does the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, who sits in the pulpit of King, who makes $275 a year, not including speaking engagements, allow 40 deep homeless people around the corner from that church? And for an entire community to gentrify while he's been there for over a decade. You tell me why that didn't make the news. You know how easy it was for me to go down there and video? And you are right about controlling Kelly Loeffler. She is no better. However, if you listen to Raphael's speech, he says she's been sitting on Capitol Hill not doing her job. What about his job? What about his constituency? What about those people around his church? They are playing us, David. They are playing us on both sides. We fund that government. I pay those taxes. You pay those taxes. Tamara pays those taxes. It's real estate taxes and capital gains. Look up the Solari report. You know what? Slaves were a commodity. Cotton was a product. We don't have those things anymore. And I think these people are protecting their assets and making a whole new slave economy. I'm not kidding you. I know that sounds conspiracy theory, but I have researched it. I have looked. There's not one hole in these arguments. And I will put up every single link so people can judge for themselves. It is not easy to get on a public platform and make these claims. And not at all. I'm a small business owner. But I'm telling you that it seems to add up. And what these people are claiming, and it makes sense with all these affordable housing projects that are going to be going up, that are going to be financed by billionaires like Bezos, and who's going to be the collateral. So So in essence, we're not allowed to have slaves anymore because everyone realized it's, not a good thing to do with slave and entire people. We don't have a product anymore like cotton. We can't mass incarcerate anymore because people figure that out, which, by the way, she wrote a paper on it. I'll put up the link to that. So we cannot mass incarcerate. We can't have convict labor, cheap labor. We can't. How do we get labor on the cheap? And it's brilliant. And you've said this, David. You've said this tons of times. The division between poor classes. Why are those people on TV looking a fool? What kind of terrorist takes selfies? Doesn't that make you ask a question, David? How are we being played? How are we being divided? Don't those people look abandoned? Did you see the video of that vet? What did she talk about? The one that died with a bullet in her neck. Homeless people and poverty. That's what she talked about. That sounds real familiar. That's it. I'll put up the link.
Thank you, Robbie. I know you've been trying to get on this broadcast all morning. Your internet was doing some crazy stuff today. We're going to continue to speak truth to power on this broadcast. We are here every Saturday at 11 a.m. You can find Mr. David Slavin at Acknowledge the Divide right here on Facebook. You can find Ms. Robbie Caban at robbiecaban.com. You can find me at tamarashealey.com. And every week, like I say, 11 o'clock a.m., 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern, we give voice to issues, activism, and activists right here in the great state of Georgia. I am not going to stop. I'm not going to stop, talking about reparations, stomping for reparations. I'm not going to stop. I'm not. David, Robbie, same time next week. We'll be back.
Solidarity forever means privileges never.